The rain had stopped just minutes before Daniel and his son Noah walked into Rosie's diner. Water still dripped from the old sign above the door, making soft tapping sounds on the sidewalk. Daniel pushed the door open, and a small bell rang. "Dad, can we sit by the window?" Noah asked, tugging at his father's navy sweater. "Sure, buddy," Daniel said with a smile. They slid into a red booth near the big glass window. Outside, the street looked gray and wet, but inside the diner, everything felt warm. The smell of burgers and fresh coffee filled the air. An old jukebox in the corner played quiet music. Noah pressed his nose against the window. "Look, Dad, a puddle shaped like a dinosaur." Daniel laughed. "You and your dinosaurs." He ruffled Noah's brown hair, still damp from the rain. A waitress came over with 2 menus. "What can I get you folks?" "I want a cheeseburger and fries," Noah said, bouncing in his seat. "Make that 2, Daniel added. "And a chocolate milkshake for him, coffee for me." The waitress smiled and walked away. Daniel watched his son color on the paper placemat with crayons. The diner kept in a cup. Noah was drawing a T-Rex eating French fries. For a moment, everything felt peaceful. Then the bell above the door rang again. Daniel looked up. A woman walked in, holding the hand of a little girl. The woman wore a faded blue coat with patches on the sleeves. Her face looked tired, like she hadn't slept well in a long time. The little girl beside her wore a pink dress that was too small. Her shoes were scuffed and old. The woman, her name was Rachel, stopped near the counter. She looked at the menu board on the wall, counting coins in her hand. Her lips moved silently as she added up numbers in her head. The little girl, Sophie, tugged her mother's coat. "Mama, I'm really hungry." "I know, sweetheart," Rachel whispered. Her voice sounded sad and tired. "We'll get something small to share, okay?" Sophie nodded, but her eyes were big and hopeful, looking at the pictures of food on the wall. Daniel watched them from his booth. Something in his chest tightened. He knew that look. He'd seen it before, years ago, when things were hard for him too, before he made his money, before everything changed. Noah noticed him too. "Dad, why does that little girl look so sad?" Daniel took a breath. "Sometimes people are going through tough times, son. Like when Mom died?" Noah asked quietly. Daniel's throat felt tight. "Yeah, like that." Their food arrived. 2 big cheeseburgers, a mountain of golden fries, and Noah's chocolate milkshake with whipped cream on top. Noah's eyes lit up, but then he looked back at Sophie, who was now sitting at the counter with her mother. They had 1 small bowl of soup between them. Just 1 bowl, 1 spoon. Rachel was letting Sophie eat first while she just watched. Noah picked up a fry, then put it down. "Dad." "Yeah." Can we share our fries with them?" Daniel felt his heart swell with pride. His 7-year-old son saw what he saw, felt what he felt. "That's a kind thought, Noah," Daniel said. "But maybe we can do something better. Would you like to invite them to eat with us?" Noah's face brightened. "Really? Really?" Before Daniel could say anything else, Noah was already sliding out of the booth. He walked up to the counter where Sophie sat, swinging his feet nervously. Hi," Noah said. Sophie looked at him with wide brown eyes. "Hi. Do you like dinosaurs?" Sophie's face broke into a small smile. "I like the ones with long necks. Brachiosaurus," Noah said excitedly. "Those are cool. Hey, do you and your mom want to eat with us? We have lots of food. Too much food, actually." Rachel turned, surprised. Her cheeks flushed red. "Oh, sweetheart, that's very nice, but..." Daniel stood up and walked over. He kept his voice gentle and warm. "Please, we'd really like the company. I'm Daniel, and this is my son, Noah. We have more food than we can eat, and honestly, eating alone isn't as fun as eating with friends." Rachel looked at him carefully. She was used to people pitying her, used to people looking down at her. But Daniel's eyes were different. They were kind, honest. There was no judgment there. Just understanding. "I'm Rachel," she said softly. "And this is Sophie." "Hi, Sophie," Daniel said, kneeling down so he was eye level with the little girl. Noah tells me you like dinosaurs with long necks. Did you know they were the tallest dinosaurs that ever lived? Sophie's eyes grew wide. Really? Really? Daniel said. Come on, let's all sit together. I promise our booth is way more comfortable than these counter stools. Rachel hesitated for just one more second. Then Sophie tugged her hand. Please, Mama? Rachel's eyes filled with tears, but she blinked them away quickly. Okay, she whispered. They all moved to the booth. Daniel ordered 2 more cheeseburgers, another basket of fries, and a strawberry milkshake for Sophie. Rachel tried to protest, but Daniel raised his hand gently. Please, he said, let me do this. Not because I pity you, but because I've been where you are, a long time ago, and someone helped me once. I'd like to pass that kindness forward. Rachel's hands trembled slightly as she sat down. When the food came, Sophie's face lit up like Christmas morning. She picked up her burger with both hands, and for the first time in weeks, she ate until she was truly full. Noah and Sophie talked about dinosaur cartoons and their favorite colors. They laughed together like they'd known each other forever. Daniel and Rachel sat quietly at first, watching their children. Then Daniel spoke softly. How old is Sophie? 6, Rachel said. She just started first grade. Noah's 7, second grade. Silence fell between them, but it wasn't uncomfortable. Finally, Rachel spoke. Why are you doing this? Daniel looked out the window at the wet street. My wife died 2 years ago. Cancer. For a while, I forgot how to be human. I forgot how to see people. Noah reminds me every day. He has his mother's heart. Rachel's eyes softened. I'm sorry. Me too, Daniel said. What about you? If you don't mind me asking. Rachel took a shaky breath. Sophie's father left when she was a baby. I worked 3 jobs, but it's never enough. Rent went up. Food prices went up. Everything went up except my paycheck. She wiped her eyes quickly. I'm sorry. You don't need to hear this. I want to hear it, Daniel said firmly. You matter, Rachel. You and Sophie both matter. Something broke open inside Rachel then. For the first time in months, she felt seen. Not pitted, not judged, just seen. They talked until their plates were empty and the diner started filling with the dinner crowd. When it was time to leave, Daniel paid the bill without making a show of it. Outside, under the diner's glowing sign, Noah hugged Sophie. Can we see you again? Sophie looked up at her mother, hopefully. Daniel smiled. We come to the park every Sunday afternoon, the one on Maple Street. If you'd like to join us, we'll be there. Rachel nodded, tears shining in her eyes. We'll be there. As they walked away in opposite directions, both families felt something shift. Something warm and new and full of possibility. Hope had found them in a humble diner on a rainy evening. And it was just the beginning. That first Sunday, Rachel almost didn't go to the park. She stood in front of the cracked mirror in her tiny apartment, brushing Sophie's hair. Sophie wore her best dress, the pink one, even though it was still too small. Rachel had washed it twice to make sure it looked clean. Mama, are we really going to see Noah? Sophie asked, bouncing on her toes. Yes, sweetheart, Rachel said, but her stomach twisted with worry. What if Daniel didn't really mean it? What if he just said it to be nice? What if they got to the park and he wasn't there? But when they arrived at Maple Street Park, Daniel and Noah were already waiting by the big oak tree. Noah was wearing his red jacket with the dinosaur shirt underneath. When he saw Sophie, his whole face lit up. Sophie, you came. Noah ran toward them, waving his arms. Sophie squealed with joy and ran to meet him. Within seconds, they were racing toward the swings, laughing like old friends. Daniel walked up to Rachel with 2 cups of coffee in his hands. I got you one. I remembered you said you liked cream and sugar. Rachel's eyes widened. You remembered that? Of course, Daniel said simply. They sat on a bench together, watching their children play. The autumn sun felt warm on their faces. Yellow and orange leaves danced in the wind. I wasn't sure you'd come, Rachel admitted quietly. Daniel turned to look at her. Why wouldn't I? Because... Rachel struggled to find the words. Because people like you don't usually mean it. They say nice things, but they don't really mean them. People like me? Daniel asked gently. Rachel blushed. You have money, nice clothes, a nice life. People like me were invisible to people like you. Daniel was quiet for a moment. Then he said, 10 years ago, I was sleeping in my car. I had $53 to my name and a dream that seemed impossible. Someone gave me a chance when they didn't have to. That changed everything. Rachel stared at him. Really, Daniel said. Money doesn't make you better than anyone else, Rachel. It just means you have more responsibility to help others. Something in Rachel's chest loosened. Maybe this was real. Maybe Daniel really did care. From that Sunday forward, the park became their special place. Every week, Daniel and Noah would bring snacks, sandwiches, fruit, juice boxes, chips. At first, Rachel felt embarrassed. But Daniel never made it feel like charity. He always said things like, I packed way too much. Can you help us eat this? Or, Noah picked these apples for Sophie. The children became inseparable. Noah taught Sophie about dinosaurs and planets. Sophie taught Noah how to make flower crowns and tell stories. They climbed trees together, built castles in the sandbox, and chased each other until they collapsed in giggles on the grass. Daniel and Rachel talked for hours on those benches. They shared stories about their lives, the hard parts and the beautiful parts. Rachel told Daniel about the time her electricity got shut off and she and Sophie ate dinner by candlelight, pretending they were camping. Daniel told Rachel about the night his wife died and how he didn't know how to tell Noah that Mommy wasn't coming home. They cried together. They laughed together. Slowly, something deeper began to grow. One Sunday in October, Sophie showed up wearing the same scuffed shoes with a hole in the toe. Daniel noticed. He didn't say anything then, but the next Sunday, he brought a box. Hey, Sophie, Daniel called out. I found something. My friend's daughter outgrew these shoes, and they're just sitting in her closet. Do you think they'd fit you? Sophie's eyes went wide when she saw the brand-new purple sneakers with sparkles on the sides. For me? For you? Daniel said, smiling. Rachel's eyes filled with tears. She knew those weren't hand-me-downs. She knew Daniel had bought them brand new, but he'd wrapped the gift in dignity so she could accept it without shame. Thank you, she whispered when Sophie ran off to show Noah. Daniel squeezed her hand. We take care of our friends. Our friends. Rachel held those words close to her heart. But life wasn't all sunshine and park days. One evening, Rachel came home to find a letter taped to her apartment door. Her rent was increasing by $200 next month. $200 she didn't have. That night, after Sophie fell asleep, Rachel sat at her tiny kitchen table and cried. She'd been so careful with money. She worked the breakfast shift at a cafe, cleaned offices at night, and did people's laundry on weekends. But it still wasn't enough. She thought about asking Daniel for help, but shame burned in her throat. He'd already done so much. The next Sunday, Rachel tried to hide her red eyes behind sunglasses. But Daniel noticed immediately. What's wrong? He asked. Nothing, Rachel lied. Rachel. Daniel's voice was firm but gentle. Talk to me? So she did. She told him about the rent increase, about the fear of losing their home, about the crushing weight of trying to keep Sophie safe and fed and happy when everything felt like it was falling apart. Daniel listened without interrupting. When she finished, he said, I own a few properties around the city. One of my tenants just moved out. It's a 2-bedroom apartment in a safe neighborhood. Good schools nearby. The rent is half what you're paying now. Rachel shook her head. I can't accept charity, Daniel. It's not charity, Daniel said. It's friendship. And honestly, you'd be doing me a favor. I need a reliable tenant who will take care of the place. Someone I trust. Rachel looked into his eyes. She saw no pity there. No judgment. Just honest care. Okay, she whispered. Daniel also made a few phone calls. By the end of the week, Rachel had an interview for a receptionist position at a medical office. Steady hours, better pay, health insurance. How did you... Rachel asked when Daniel told her. I know people, Daniel said with a small smile. You're smart and hardworking, Rachel. You just needed someone to open a door. Rachel got the job. Within a month, She and Sophie moved into the new apartment. It had big windows that let in sunlight, a kitchen with a working stove, and bedrooms with doors that locked. Sophie had her own room for the first time in her life. The day they moved in, Daniel and Noah came to help. They carried boxes, assembled furniture, and hung curtains. When everything was done, they ordered pizza and ate it sitting on the floor, because Rachel didn't have a dining table yet. "This is the best day ever," Sophie declared, tomato sauce on her chin. Noah nodded enthusiastically. "Can I sleep over sometime?" The adults exchanged glances. Rachel blushed. Daniel smiled. "Maybe someday," Rachel said softly. As the weeks passed, Rachel and Daniel's connection deepened. Their conversations grew longer. Their glances lingered. When their hands accidentally brushed while passing coffee cups or pushing children on swings, neither pulled away quickly. One chilly November evening, after the children had fallen asleep during a movie at Daniel's house, Rachel and Daniel sat on his back porch under a blanket, drinking hot chocolate. "Can I tell you something?" Daniel asked. "Anything," Rachel said. "I haven't felt this way since my wife died," Daniel admitted. "I didn't think I could feel this way again. But when I'm with you, I feel alive." Rachel's breath caught. "Daniel, I'm falling in love with you, Rachel," he said simply. "I need you to know that." Tears streamed down Rachel's face. "I'm scared." "Of what?" "Of not being enough," Rachel whispered. "You're the successful, amazing man, and I'm just me. I come with baggage and struggles and—" Daniel took her face in his hands. "You're everything, Rachel. You're strong and brave and beautiful. You survived things that would break most people. You're raising an incredible daughter, and you make me want to be better every single day." Rachel kissed him then, soft and sweet under the stars. Everything was changing, and for the first time in years, Rachel wasn't afraid of change. She was ready for it. Winter came to the city like a soft blanket of snow. Rachel and Daniel had been together for 3 months now, though neither had made it official. They hadn't used words like boyfriend or girlfriend. They just were together, naturally, like they'd always been meant to find each other. Sophie and Noah were practically siblings now. They had sleepovers every weekend, switching between Daniel's house and Rachel's apartment. They shared toys, secrets, and dreams about the future. One Saturday morning in December, Rachel woke up to knocking on her apartment door. When she opened it, Daniel stood there holding a small Christmas tree. "You can't have Christmas without a tree," he said with a grin. Sophie squealed with delight. "A real tree? Mama, we've never had a real tree before." Rachel's eyes filled with tears. Every other Christmas, she'd made paper decorations with Sophie and pretended that was enough. But now, watching Daniel and Noah help Sophie hang ornaments on the branches, she realized what family was supposed to feel like. That evening, after the children fell asleep, Daniel and Rachel sat on a small couch, watching the tree lights twinkle in the dark. "I need to tell you something," Rachel said quietly. Daniel turned to face her. "What is it?" "I'm scared," Rachel admitted. "Every time something good happens in my life, it gets taken away. My parents died when I was young. Sophie's father left us. I lost jobs, lost apartments, lost hope so many times." She took a shaky breath. "What if I lose you too?" Daniel pulled her close. "You won't lose me, Rachel. I'm not going anywhere." "But what if I'm not good enough for you?" Rachel's voice cracked. "What if one day you wake up and realize you deserve someone better? Someone who doesn't come with so much struggle and—" "Stop," Daniel said firmly. He cupped her face in his hands. "Listen to me. You are not your struggles. You are not your past. You are strong and beautiful and brave. You fought for your daughter when the whole world seemed against you. You kept going when giving up would have been easier. That's not weakness, Rachel. That's strength." "But I have nothing to offer you," Rachel whispered. "You have everything I need," Daniel said. "You have kindness. You have love. You have a heart that sees people, really sees them. You make me want to be better. You make Noah happier than he's been since his mother died. You're teaching him what real strength looks like." He kissed her forehead. "I love you, Rachel. All of you, including the parts you think aren't good enough." Rachel broke down crying then, but they were good tears, healing tears. "I love you too," she whispered. They held each other as snow fell outside the window. The next morning, Daniel had a surprise. "We're all going somewhere special today." "Where?" Noah asked, bouncing excitedly. "It's a secret," Daniel said with a wink. They drove to a beautiful neighborhood Rachel had only seen in magazines. Big houses with wraparound porches, trees lining every street, children riding bikes on the sidewalk. Daniel pulled up to a house with a for sale sign in the front yard. "Why are we here?" Rachel asked, confused. Daniel smiled. "Because I'm thinking of buying it, but I need your opinion first." Rachel's heart started racing. "Daniel, what are you saying?" "I'm saying," Daniel took her hand, "that I want us to be a real family. You, me, Sophie, and Noah, together, in a home that's ours." Sophie and Noah gasped. "Really?" Sophie asked, her eyes wide. "Really?" Daniel said. "If your mom says yes." Rachel looked at the house. It was beautiful, perfect, everything she'd ever dreamed of but never thought she'd have. But more importantly, she looked at Daniel, at his honest eyes, at the way he held Noah close while waiting for her answer, at the way Sophie was already gripping her hand with hope. "Yes," Rachel whispered. "Yes, yes, yes." The children cheered. Daniel kissed her right there on the sidewalk, while Noah and Sophie danced around them, laughing and shouting about sharing rooms and having a backyard. 3 months later, they moved into the house together. It wasn't easy at first. They had to learn how to live together, how to parent together, how to merge 2 different lives into one. There were disagreements about bedtimes and chores and how to split bills, even though Daniel insisted Rachel didn't need to pay for anything. But they worked through it, together. Daniel taught Rachel that accepting help didn't make her weak. Rachel taught Daniel that money couldn't fix everything, but love could heal almost anything. Noah and Sophie became the best of friends. They fought sometimes, like all siblings do, but they also protected each other fiercely. When a kid at school made fun of Sophie's old backpack, Noah stood up for her. When Noah had nightmares about his mom, Sophie held his hand until he fell back asleep. One warm Sunday in May, exactly 1 year after they first met at the diner, Daniel planned something special. He took everyone back to Maple Street Park, the place where their Sunday tradition had started. He'd set up a picnic under the big oak tree with all their favorite foods. As they ate sandwiches and laughed at Noah's dinosaur jokes, Daniel stood up. His hands were shaking slightly. "I have something to say," he announced. Everyone got quiet. Daniel looked at Rachel. "A year ago, I walked into a diner with my son, feeling lost. I had money, success, everything people think matters. But I was empty inside. Then I saw you." His voice caught. "You were counting coins, trying to feed your daughter, fighting with everything you had. And something in me woke up." Rachel's eyes filled with tears. "You taught me what real strength looks like," Daniel continued. "You taught me that kindness costs nothing but means everything. You taught me how to live again, how to love again." He got down on one knee and pulled out a small box. "Rachel, will you marry me?" Sophie and Noah screamed with joy before Rachel could even answer. "Yes." Rachel sobbed. "Yes, 1,000 times yes." Daniel slipped the ring on her finger, a simple silver band with a small diamond. Nothing flashy, just perfect. The children tackled them both in a hug, and they all fell onto the picnic blanket in a laughing, crying pile of pure happiness. 6 months later, they got married in that same park under the oak tree. It was a small ceremony, just close friends and the people who mattered. Sophie was the flower girl. Noah was the ring bearer. When the minister asked if anyone objected, Sophie raised her hand. Everyone gasped. "I object." Sophie said seriously. Then she grinned. "I object to waiting any longer. I want them to kiss now." Everyone laughed. Daniel and Rachel kissed while their children cheered. That night in their home, the 4 of them sat around the dinner table. A real family now, official and true. "Remember when we only had 1 bowl of soup to share?" Sophie asked her mom. Rachel squeezed her daughter's hand. "I remember, sweetheart." "Now we have everything," Sophie said. Daniel shook his head gently. We always had everything, Sophie. We just needed to find each other. Noah nodded wisely. Dad says the best things in life aren't things at all. That's right, buddy, Daniel said. The best things are people, and love, and family. They held hands around a table and said a prayer of thanks, not for money or houses or things, but for second chances, for rainy nights in diners, for kind strangers who become family, for love that heals broken hearts. Outside, snow began to fall again, but inside their home, everything was warm. Rachel looked around at her family, her husband, her daughter, her son, and realized that she spent so many years afraid of losing everything. But now she understood the truth. When you have love, you have everything, and nothing can take that away. The end. This story reminds us that kindness changes lives. One simple act of compassion, sharing a meal, offering a hand, seeing someone's worth, can transform everything. If this story touched your heart, think about the people around you. Who needs to be seen today? Who needs kindness without judgment? Who needs to know they matter? You don't need to be rich to be generous. You don't need much to make a difference. Sometimes all it takes is a warm smile, a shared meal, or the courage to say, you're not alone. Be the Daniel in someone's life. Be the Rachel who keeps fighting. Be the child who sees people's hearts instead of their wallets. Share this story with someone who needs hope today. Remind them that second chances are real, that love is possible, and that the best family isn't always the one you're born into. Sometimes it's the one you choose. Small acts of kindness create ripples that change the world. What will your ripple be? If this story inspired you, please share it. Someone out there needs to read it today.